Oh, okay. So before we start the stream, I watched like the Super Mario movie today. Hooray! That was really fun. Anyway, that's why. I think that should be obvious in the other stream where I was drawing like really bad Mario fan art because it's like okay, it's not that good because I used to be really into Nintendo back in the day, but not as much anymore because I always used to draw the fan art as like an 8-year-old though, so it doesn't. So yeah. Anyway, that was like 20 years ago. Anyway, yeah, I'm glad I went to see it. I went to see it with a couple of friends too. It's too bad some of them couldn't make it because like they were too busy because some things popped up, which kind of sucks. Anyway, let's start reading the next chapter of Minagoroshi, and I believe this is when Sadako's uncle will show up again. Obviously, from the fact that Rina Mamiya died in that one tip. Obviously, that's pointing to that. And so, of course, some of the same warnings of Tatarigoroshi do apply, except for the naked towel part. Thank God that never comes back. It was a very humid day. Not even a slight breeze was blowing. It had been an unpleasant summer, one that wasn't only hot, but swelteringly so. There were various articles of clothing hung out to dry in the messy apartment windows, but the lack of wind evoked an impression far removed from coolness. In fact, it only felt more oppressive. There were crooked houses and apartments lining the narrow, twisting road. In addition, there were planters and flower pots whose contents were beginning to rot, as well as bicycles and cars on the sides of the road, making it even more cramped, more oppressive, and all the more sweltering. Nobody who was in a place like this at the time was using it voluntarily. But it was in spite of what everyone might expect. A single motorcycle came rolling in. The motorcycle stopped in front of that 2-story apartment, one could even hardly call neat, even as flattery. A man fairly old and wrinkled stepped off. When a nearby housewife hanging out the laundry noticed him, she called out, "Well, hello there. It's quite hot again today, isn't it?" "Oh, you got that right. I feel like I'm gonna boil out here." Suddenly, I got goosebumps all over my body. I felt like something bad was about to happen for no reason. Everyone gets this feeling in a different way. Some people get a twitch in their eyelids, some kind of movement in their ears. In my case, I get goosebumps. Sadako was supposed to be cooking dinner tonight. We didn't have much left inside the refrigerator, so I asked her to go grocery shopping. I was just watching TV and relaxing while I waited for her. She was usually back by the time my cartoon was over, after which she'd start cooking dinner. But my cartoon was over. The news had started and Sadako wasn't home yet. Sadako sometimes waited until they had a sale at the store. In that case, she'd usually come home late. That must be what was happening. It was too early for me to start worrying about her, but I can't explain this feeling. I can't explain it, but I feel extremely worried. Once I start feeling like that, of course my phone has to fall. Sorry, let me try it again. Stupid phone. Why does it always fall? Alright. Once I started feeling like that, I couldn't just sit in the room and wait for her. Hanyu! Hanyu! Where are you? I thought she might know where Sadako might be. But she's never around when I need her. Hanyu is not with me 24 hours a day. She sometimes falls asleep, and sometimes she goes out for walks. Though in her case, it's not a walk, but more like a stalk. She follows people around when she finds someone interesting, and she enjoys observing them. Anyway, I had no choice. I'd have to find Sadako on my own. I had a good idea of which store Sadako goes to. I should check those first. We're in Hinamizawa. If I ask people, they'd tell me where she went.
Hello there, Rika. It's a blessing to see you here. Nipa, did Sadako come here today by any chance? I haven't seen Sadako here. I've been out here all day, so I would have seen her if she was here.
I didn't even have time to say thanks. I ran to the next store. People were greeting me and waving at me. I'd usually smile and greet them back, but I had no time for that at the moment. Sadako! 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 I need Sadako in my life. I was able to survive for so long because of her support. Without her, this world would be so empty and boring. Sadako's nonchalant and optimistic, unlike me. I've learned so many things from her over the past 100 years. But I still need to learn more from her. Sadako! Sadako! People stared at me as I ran by them, screaming out her name. I didn't care what they thought, though. Sadako! 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 Why were they looking at me like that? I'm looking for Sadako. Somebody tell me where Sadako is! My heart was convulsing inside my body like a fish out of the water. What little stamina I have. I hate my body for being so young. You know, the store on the corner always has a sale in the evening. She might be there. I went to a few different places, but I still couldn't find her anywhere. The people I talked to gave me advice to where to go, but I couldn't find her in any of the places they suggested. I continued to run looking for her. I continued to run even when I bumped into people.
I don't know. I had so many customers, I can't remember.
There are only a few places in Hinamizawa where we can go grocery shopping. It shouldn't be that difficult to find her, so why couldn't I? I tripped on something in the street, and I fell flat on the ground.
Ouch!
I injured my hand on a small rock embedded in the ground. I didn't feel much pain even though I said ouch. It just felt hot, as if I'd touched a frying pan. Suddenly someone handed me a pretty handkerchief.
Are you okay? Did you get hurt? Rena, did you see Sadako anywhere?
Rena was carrying a grocery bag. I heard that Sadako bumps into Rena often when she goes grocery shopping. They tend to choose the same stores.
Sadako? No, I didn't see her today. Was she out grocery shopping?
Yes, you didn't see her?
No, I didn't, but there's no way that she would have missed the big sale at the market today. I was there, but I didn't see her.
My brain wasn't getting enough oxygen. It took me a while to understand what Rena was talking about. I understood that Rena didn't see Sadako, but that wasn't the point. They had a huge sale in the market today. There was no way that Sadako would miss that sale, but she didn't see her there. What was that supposed to mean?
What happened? Did she leave her wallet at home or something? Well,
I couldn't find the right words to explain. Should I tell her I feared that something bad happened to Sadako and that's why I was looking for her? No, I couldn't do that. I couldn't think too deeply about why she hadn't returned home.
What's wrong? Can't I help out? Talk to me.
I knew she was just trying to help me. I even thought I needed someone to help me just a few moments before, but now that she was here, I had no idea what I was supposed to say. No, that's not it. Truth is, I know. Somehow I know. I wouldn't have to know if I was someone else. But I have to know this. Furude Rika has to know what's going on. I know it. I remember it. I knew this was coming. I experienced a world where Sadako suddenly disappeared. The possibility for that happening is as low as Akasaka showing up in Hinamizawa. It only happened randomly in my other lives. But this is not the first time. It happened before, too. I should see it for myself. I needed to see if I got stuck inside a devastating world again.
Will you talk to me? I'm sorry. Goodbye. Hey, Rika!
I started running. I couldn't pretend like I didn't know where she was. Please don't tell me that I was blessed only up to this point, that I'm about to fall back into my unfortunate fate from here on. I thought this world was different. I thought I could move on to a happy future. I thought I would be able to defeat my deadly fate in this life. But this is just horrible. It was horrible that this was happening to this world. I was standing in front of the place that I hate the most in Hinamizawa. Yes, Sadako's real home, the Hojo residence. I've been living with her since last fall, so this house was empty. In the beginning, she used to come back here to pick up her clothing and other necessities, but once she moved most of her stuff to my house, Sadako stayed away from this place. This is a sad place for Sadako because all she could remember of it was a horrible time she spent with her uncle and aunt, and the memory of her missing brother Satoshi. That's why she never wanted to come back here. That wasn't the reason I hate the house. It's because I know what happens whenever this house becomes an issue in my life. Oh God, please! Please bless me with just one more fortune! I closed my eyes and prayed. I slowly opened them. The window was open on the second floor. I saw a faded curtain swinging inside. As soon as I saw that, my knees realized what was going on, even before my mind processed it. In the next moment, I lost strength in my legs and collapsed on the ground. I saw an unfamiliar motorcycle parked by the house. I also saw laundry and a futon hanging outside. I was certain that someone was living there. It's proof that someone was living inside this house. It's never good when there's someone living inside this house. This was very, very bad. I knew exactly why. I knew why, but I felt like I wanted to act like I didn't know.
Rika? Sadako!
Sadako went outside to take a futon in and noticed me.
Rika?
Sadako looked down and forced herself to smile. I felt so sad. It wasn't just her expression. I could tell her left cheek was red and swollen.
Sadako, don't stay here. Let's go home.
I took her hand, but she still looked down without squeezing back.
Rika, I think I'm going back to this house. Why is that? My uncle came back, and he told me we should live together in this house. I know that's not what you want. You don't want to live with your mean uncle. But I have no choice. If I go back to your house, he'll come and get me. I don't want to cause any trouble for you.
She gave up with a sad smile. She looks exactly how she looked 1 year ago in 1982. Her uncle only slapped her face, and she's back to being the Sadako from 1982. The cheerful Sadako that I knew until yesterday could no longer be found. I took care of Sadako and tried to heal her wounded heart for over a year. She finally got her smile back, but her uncle took it all away with just one slap to her face. A broken soul can recover over time, but her damaged heart can never be fixed completely. I just took the broken pieces and put them back together. The cracks in her heart will always be there. That's why she couldn't come with me, no matter how hard I tried to pull her hand. She couldn't get over the fear. She knew just how scary her uncle could be. Sadako, what the hell are you doing? You better not go anywhere! I heard a disgusting voice from inside the house. Sadako stared at the ground. Her shoulders were shaking. Who the hell is this? He came out and stood right behind her.
It's nothing. I just bumped into my friend.
I don't care. Go inside and clean the bathtub. I want to take a bath, you idiot. Sadako scampered back inside the house like a terrified small animal. I feel devastated as I watch her go. Were you asking her out to play? I'm sorry, but she's busy taking care of chores. I'm her uncle. I've been out for a while on a business trip. I'm finally back in the village, you know? Liar. He only showed back up because his lover went missing. In another world, I once let my hatred out on him. But then he inflicted that anger and equal onto Sadako. So I couldn't allow the dark flame burning within my chest to reflect in my eyes. Since I couldn't make myself smile, and I couldn't insult him, all I could do was give him a short bow and run away from the scene. You're intimidated by my scary face, huh? I heard his hideous laughter from behind me. I cried as I ran away. I couldn't stop crying. I thought this was a perfect world up until today. Why was God doing this to me? It was too cruel. But I couldn't give up yet. I couldn't do anything, but I still had hope for this world. I didn't think the luck I had until yesterday was just a random thing. I went back to my house in a hurry. I needed to make a phone call. I didn't know the number because it was my first time calling the place. I looked inside the phone book, and I found it easily. I made a call to that number. Oh, hello! I didn't expect to get a call from you, Furude. What can I do for you? Oops, that was Oishi. Oh, hello. I didn't expect to get a call from you, Furude. What can I do for you? I knew that Oishi could never save Sadako based on what I've seen in my previous lives. For him, Sadako is only a good way to get the Sonozaki family. Her uncle's probably his prey in that regard too. Even if I talked to him about her situation, he could do nothing to save her. The only thing he'd tell me would be called the Child Consolation Center.
I want to talk with Akasaka. Is he there?
Akasaka? He went to the hot springs in Wakura with his wife. Wakura? That's not anywhere near here. I thought he was staying here until Watanagashi. I heard he's gonna stay in a hotel owned by a relative of his. I wish I could go too. What? You want to know where Wakura is? It's in Ishikawa Prefecture, on the Noto Peninsula. No way. He told me he was staying here until Watanagashi. I thought he meant he was staying in Hinamizawa, but did he actually mean this area of the country in general?
Can you get a hold of him somehow?
That was a meaningless question. There's no way I could get him to come here while he was enjoying his trip with his wife. Even if I can talk to him on the phone, he's probably only telling me to call the Child Consolation Center or something. I don't know where he's staying. I heard it's a very famous luxury hotel, so I can make a pretty good famous guess. But I'm pretty sure they won't give me the room number since they're strict about customer privacy these days.
Okay then. Did Akasaka tell you he's coming to the Watanagashi festival?
Yes, he did. He's coming back here after the hot springs. They stayed here for only one night, and then left for the Noto Peninsula. I'm sure they'll be back before the day of the festival. He said he'd be back with a souvenir for you. How terrible. I thought it was too good to be true. I knew it was kind of strange for him to stay in a boring place like this. My luck seems to be turning. This might not be a surprise, though. Just like I can roll a 6 3 times in a row, I can throw a 1 3 times in a row, too. Happy things and unhappy things can happen with equal probability. Hello? If you want to leave a message, I'll take it for you. I looked at the calendar on the wall. I didn't know when he was coming back, but I was certain he wouldn't be at least for 1 more week. I thought back to the past to try to remember what happened. That guy will break Sadako apart in 1 week. I couldn't wait that long. I had to give up on seeking help from Akasaka. Well, that's okay. I still had 1 more option. 1 more person I could rely on.
No, that's alright. Thank you for your help. Nipa.
I hung up the phone after thanking him. I couldn't make a phone call to the next person. I have to talk to him in person. I put my shoes on and headed to the Irie clinic. The clinic's hours were over for the day. There's usually no one here after that. However, since Tomitake was here, they could still be inside the building for a meeting. They had to be there. The front door of the clinic was locked as I expected. I went around to the back door and rang the bell. The whole clinic is nervous when Tomitake is around. They usually ignore visitors, but I'm special. What's wrong? I heard that you had an emergency. Oops. Sorry, I didn't know that could skip. What the hell? Okay, let's try again. What's wrong? I heard you had an emergency. You need me too? This doesn't sound good. Irie and Takano showed up after I was taken to the visitor's room. If Furude Rika has an emergency, it's priority for these 2 people. I'm the most important person in this village. Could it be that someone's trying to get to you? You're protected at all times by the elite security of the mountain dogs. They've been watching you since the day we made that promise. I had no doubt about that. They saved me right away when we had the confrontation with those 3 delinquents the other day.
That's not it. I have a favor to ask. I want you to save Sadako from danger.
What happened to Sadako? Irie doesn't have that much power alone, even if he really wants to save her. But Takano controls the mountain dogs, so she does have that power. In my previous lives, I was never able to get help from the mountain dogs because I wasn't on good terms with Takano. By the way, there is, I'm gonna give you a yelling warning. That will happen. Okay? But this world is different. I have a better relationship with her in this life. She even kept the promise she made. I trust their ability completely now. Hojo Teppei's back? That's horrible. It was mainly Sadako's aunt who was abusing her last year, but Irie knows that her uncle was violent with her too. I told them that Sadako had gone back to the same condition she was in the previous year.
I don't know what will happen. I need you to help me save Sadako.
Irie seemed to want to do something for her, but he didn't know exactly what to do. What shall we do? Shall we call the police and let them know? I don't know about that. At that point, all he did was come back and take her in as her legal guardian, right? It's not like she's been seriously injured by him. That's not the case, right?
No, that hasn't happened yet. But it's only a matter of time. Something bad is going to happen if we don't do anything.
I hate to say that it's only a matter of time. I knew how she was going to get abused and how she was going to end up. I've seen it in the past. I really wanted to tell them about it, but I couldn't do that. If it hadn't happened in this world yet, they'd just think I was imagining it. I think you should call the Child Consolation Center first. I remember Sadako made a false report to the Child Consolation Center once. I wonder if they would take her seriously. The answer is no. My friends contacted the Child Consolation Center several times in the past, but Sadako always refuses their help. She claims that she isn't being abused. The Sadako from 1983 might have asked for their help, but currently she was Sadako from 1982. For her, living with her uncle reminds her of the time when Satoshi was around. She feels like Satoshi will come back if she can live strongly without always relying on her brother. If the Child Consolation Center were to take this case seriously, it would be too late. I tried to remember. In the most recent world I experienced, it only took a few days after Sadako was kidnapped by her uncle. It only took a few days for him to tear her heart apart. We had no time to waste. We needed to take action quickly. We can't really do anything unless she seeks help. I think Dr. Irie can call the police, but that's about it. I'm very sorry.
That's not it! I want you to help her, Takano!
Irie and Takano looked shocked and both went quiet. They didn't expect me to seek help from Takano. You mean you want us to take a much bolder action?
I'm here to ask for that. I wouldn't be here this late otherwise.
I understand, but...
Irie, if you truly cherish Sadako, then please just listen to me this once. Please save Sadako. In less than a few days, she could end up in a really horrible shape. That's already guaranteed. If you try to wait and see how things will go, it'll be no different than watching her die. Have you forgotten how Sadako was last year, Irie? She's already reverted to that state. Right this very second. In a few more days, it'll be too late to do anything.
All I could do was stare at him, believing that Irie could see the future only I knew. The tragic end waiting Sadako reflected in my eyes. Irie remained silent for too long a time to call brief. Someone trying to think of some excuse to avoid the issue wouldn't go silent that long. He was recalling Sadako's terrible state last year, and seriously considering if my plea was as urgent as I made it out to be. I know that he really cares about her. That's why I needed his help. What shall we do? Irie nodded and looked up. I guess he finally came to a conclusion. I just hope it's a positive one. Takano, please do what Rika wants you to do.
Irie!
I remember how hopeless I felt when I couldn't do anything to save Sadako last year. I want to take this chance to save her this time. But Doctor... Takano didn't think that Irie would make that decision. She seemed shocked to hear his response. I would like to ask you as the director of this clinic. Please help Sadako. Dr. Irie, what do you mean when you say to help her? Please calm down. Sadako is very important to us. She's greatly contributed to our research for a long time. Protecting her is considered one of your work orders. Irie continued, though Takano tried to persuade him. Kyosuke's Irie is asking you as your boss. Please save Sadako. I stared into Takano's eyes together with him.
I thought you and Sadako were friends. Please help her as her friend.
Help her, huh? That's a hypocritical way of saying it. You're not telling me to kidnap her and lock her up somewhere safe. You want me to help her so that she can have a normal, happy life. In other words, you want her uncle dead, right?
You have the right to make the ultimate decision of how you're going to save her. But if you don't want him to, I don't mind making that decision.
Dr. Irie, no, Section Chief. If we carry out your order, both you and I will be responsible for it. Are you sure you're ready for that? I looked at his face. Unlike me, Irie has many things to lose. I knew that Takano's words would shake him emotionally. However, Irie was determined.
Yes, that's fine. Even if I'm called forward to defend my actions, that's better than betraying my own heart.
An impressive show from someone who doesn't know what a hearing's like.
If you do it quietly, they may not find out about it in Tokyo. Everyone would be happy that way.
All risk and no reward.
If you want, I'll show you more treasures in the shrine. I'll never restrict you from seeing those things, so please help me.
The risk she's taking is larger than the reward I'm offering. But that's about the only thing I can offer her. I don't care about the traditions of the Furude Shrine, as long as I can save my friend from her suffering. Fine. I don't want to be the bad guy here. She forced a smile and accepted the favor I asked her for.
Thank you, Takano.
I want you to make the decision of how to save her. I'll have a meeting with Okanogi later to plan out the mission.
Not later, it has to be now!
She promised to save Sadako, but she still wasn't motivated for it. It'd be too late if she didn't do something right now. I tried to make Takano understand that this is an urgent matter.
That's right. Rika and I want to see some kind of result right now. I'm sorry for asking you this at the time, but can you please contact them now?
You guys are so passionate about her. Okay. It might take a few minutes.
Thank you very much.
No problem. It's an order from my boss. I'll do whatever I can. Just don't forget that promise you made, Rika.
I promise. I'll even serve you some rice cakes and tea when you come to the shrine.
Takano smiled lightly and left the room. Oh, slightly, sorry. But once we heard her footsteps fade away, the tension in the room dissolved. Irie offered me something to drink, but I refused. He must have thought everything was taken care of, but I couldn't relax until Sadako was physically returned to me.
Irie, does she have enough medication with her? Her uncle will keep her locked inside the house, so she won't be able to come here for a while. Fortunately, I gave her a stock of medicine and needles last week. She should be fine for a while. However, her mental state can't be controlled by that medication. If she gets too stressed, that can really cause some damage. That will happen within a few days.
Takano hadn't come back yet. I thought it would be bad news if she came back too early, but I started feeling nervous after she'd taken so long. Irie insisted that I go home because it was getting very late. I couldn't go home and relax, however, until I heard from her that everything was taken care of. I had to wait for her to come back. I needed to deal with this tension until then. Over an hour later, Takano finally returned. I'm sorry it took so long. How did it go? She was looking for the right words. I got a very bad feeling from her action alone. Unfortunately, it won't go as easy as we hoped anymore.
Why is that?
There was a murder case in Okinomiya not too long ago. The police suspect Hojo Teppei of involvement in the crime and they'll have him marked.
A murder case? What do you mean?
Some woman named Mamiya laid her hands on the Sonozaki family's earnings and was murdered to set an example. Apparently, the police have taken an interest in the relationship between the Hojos and the Sonozakis. Turns out that woman was Hojo Teppei's lover, what Nagashi is getting closer to. The police want to prevent the 5th year of Oyashiro this year, so they marked Hojo Teppei as a candidate for this year's victim and start casting their lines.
What do you mean by lines?
They suspect they can reel in the true culprit behind Oyashiro's curse if they keep their eyes on Hojo Teppei.
So, you mean...
Rika, I'm very sorry, but the mountain dogs can't do anything to him until the police stop spying on him.
No! I thought the mountain hounds could do any mission, no matter how difficult!
That's only when we plan it out carefully with extensive preparation. Usually we take a long time to observe the target and we look for the right opportunity. It can take between 6 months and 1 year for a mission like this. Remember, we are a secret organization. We must remain out of the spotlight. If our secret is revealed, everything is over. It's too risky for us to target someone like him. Then when is the right opportunity coming? It'll be after Watanagashi at the earliest. After the festival, the police will stop watching him. But that would be too late. She's saying it'd be after Watanagashi. I didn't even know if that was a day after or a year after. She also said it usually takes at least 6 months to prepare this kind of mission. That's too long. I thought this world was different, but that hope was slipping through my fingers. So how can we save Sadako? I think it's best to follow the rules. We should report this to the police or the Child Consolation Center. We can even talk to the school. I did that so many times, but it never worked! Irie and Takano were surprised. They never expected me to raise my voice. In fact, I didn't think that myself would react this way. But I couldn't keep my emotions in check after Takano suggested all those meaningless solutions. I've cooperated with you guys all this time. I never asked for anything and I just gave you my support. But now you can't save Sadako! With all that power you have, why are you so afraid of saving her? The police and public services are useless. You guys only take advantage of us and never actually help. Fine, I get it now. I know that this world is nothing but a dead end. I'm not interested in you guys anymore. I don't care about this world anymore. That's right. I can never escape my fate. It's the same old fate that I keep on repeating. You just burn to death in the mountains. You just take sleeping pills and die. I'll just die like I'll always do too. I'll lose my life without knowing how I'm killed. This life is nothing but a dead end. I was born to be killed in this world. Die, everyone! Die! There's no meaning to this world anymore! Ah! I can't put any words to my emotions anymore, and I started to cry. I was so lucky up until yesterday. I had so much hope in my heart, but it had all been for nothing. It felt like everything was falling apart. I lived for more than 100 years. I've lived longer than a normal human lifetime. I thought I was blessed for good fortune for the first time in my life. This would have never happened to me again. I thought a miracle had occurred, but everything was shattered. I cried and cursed this world. I needed to give up on my life as soon as possible. Sadako would be waiting for me with a smile on my next one. I wanted to go see her, but what happened to the Sadako in this world? What happened if I abandoned her? I didn't know, and I didn't care. Sadako, 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 Sadako. I'm a witch who has lived for 100 years, but I still couldn't rid myself of the human emotions in my heart. No! Why does it keep crashing? What the hell? Well, I guess I found out the control key does work. Seriously? Why does it keep crashing? What is up with this? I guess I'm gonna have to fucking, what is it? Quick save every 5 fucking seconds. Great. This is totally not fucking annoying to me at all. Thank goodness it was a scene transition that it crashed on. It crashed again. It's a good thing I quick saved. I'll just try it again, even if it crashes. Stop crashing. We can load it again. Holy shit, what happened to Sadako's sprite? Oops. I didn't get anything to eat because Sadako was supposed to be making dinner tonight. But I didn't have an appetite anyway, so I figured I should just go to bed. I still had to make lunch for the next day, though. Sadako might come to school tomorrow. I rinsed the rice, hoping that I wouldn't have to waste the lunch I was making for the two of us. I had to stop thinking like that. I already knew it was a waste to make her lunch. I already knew that Sadako wasn't coming to school ever again. I felt so miserable while rinsing the rice that tears started dropping into it as I thought about her. Why was this happening in this world? I thought everything changed when Keiichi gave that doll to Mion. In that world, Mion pretended to be her sister for a week and got closer to Keiichi. But that wasn't happening this time. I thought we'd be having a good time until the festival. Huh? That's odd. Wasn't the club activity 2 weeks before the Watanagashi? I had realized something. The club activity was exactly the same, but it happened 1 week earlier than the world I knew of. It was 1 week earlier than my previous life. I get it now. I thought I was familiar with this world, but it was actually a different one where the events are mixed up. That means that even though Keiichi gave the doll to Mion, that didn't solve everything. I thought I was getting lucky. I was confident that everything was going to be okay. I stopped making an effort. I knew there was a possibility that Sadako's uncle was coming back, but I let her go do the grocery shopping. I would have been more careful and kept her home if I knew he was coming back to get her. I should be careful in my next life, but there wouldn't be a next life that was so fortunate. I didn't get lucky that often. Even if I locked Sadako inside the closet, it'd be over if Rena's father messed up something, or if Keiichi lost his mind. I have to clear up everything that's not within my reach, and I also have to make the best effort I can. Without that, I can't overcome the fate of 1983. In this life, I may be able to overcome my deadly fate with Takano's help, but Sadako will not be there in my future. That defeats the whole purpose. My goal is to survive this year while laughing with my best friends. I don't want to sacrifice Sadako in order to survive. I don't want to live in a world without her. I was blessed with all those fortunes, but I still couldn't defeat my destiny. I ruined everything because I stopped working so hard. I will never again have a lucky life like this. I lost my first and only chance. I cried and scratched at the floor. I didn't know if I should curse my fate or curse myself for not putting forth enough effort. Before I realized it, Hanyu was standing in front of me. I didn't know how long she had been there. She just stared down at me with a look of pity on her face. Hanyu, I know what you're trying to say. You want to tell me that you told me not to get my hopes up. There's no way I wouldn't get my hopes up, with it being the first time I was blessed with so many fortunate circumstances. I believed that everything would go well, but you were always telling me not to expect too much. She probably felt something strange at the toy store that day. She realized the date was 1 week off, and this was not the same old world that I knew. She realized that and I still shouldn't be too excited about this life.
I've been with you for a long time, so let me tell you this first before you ask me. I couldn't predict what fate held for us today either. The only advice I can give you is this. Fate in this world is as fickle as the weather. Nothing more than a trifle of unworry, of joy or sorrow.
There are 6 sides on a die. That's the reality of it. It doesn't mean that 6 is the best number either. I should just take any number that I roll. I shouldn't be disappointed if I roll a 1 a few times in a row. It's pathetic how I thought rolling a 6 was the best result you could obtain. I still have many things to learn, even though I've been living for more than 100 years.
I told you several times, but this world is not a miracle. If you wait patiently, you'll come across a real miracle someday.
How many decades am I supposed to wait patiently? How many centuries do I have to wait? We don't have that much power left anymore. I don't think we can go back to a time before June of 1983. The amount of time that we can rewind keeps decreasing. You're telling me to just repeat that short amount of time for years. I almost lost my mind when I was repeating a few years over and over again. But you're telling me to repeat 1 or 2 weeks for years until the miracle happens? That's impossible. I was betting on this world. I bet all my coins on this one world. And I lost. I lost all my coins to this fate. I have no more coins left in my heart. These coins are known as hope. I have no coins left to hope for my dreams to come true.
Rika!
I laid on the floor as I collapsed. The floor should have been cold, but I didn't feel anything. I lost all my hope. I always thought people could survive as long as they had some bread and water. But that's not right. People can't live without hope. People can survive because they believe that something good will happen to them eventually, as long as they keep on living. But that's just for normal people who don't know what awaits them in their future. There's no such hope for a witch like me. I don't care about anything anymore. I don't care about this life, and I don't care about the next. I just want to disappear and turn to ash.
Rika! Please don't say that! Rika! Rika!
Hanyu's voice gradually fades away. I slowly lost my senses as I lay down on the kitchen floor and let myself sink into the darkness. I dragged my body to school hoping that Sadako might be there. But just as I expected, there was no one sitting in her seat. I felt the more devastated just seeing it empty. I had nothing left to bet on. All I could do was get hurt and suffer devastation. Blood flowed from my broken heart and found its way through my eyes in the form of tears.
Is something wrong, Furude? Is Hojo absent today?
The whole class was wondering why I came in late today, and why Sadako wasn't with me. But even if I felt sympathy from everyone's eyes on me, I didn't feel any promise from them. No one here was able to save Sadako. No one. No one could save her. Why should I have to keep smiling at all these useless people? This world is finished anyway. If I leave matters alone, then a few days after the Watanagashi festival, my movie reel will be cut as I'm murdered as usual. And I'll return to the beginning of this month again. And so I'll continue to live forever in June 1983, trapped here. Even death won't set me free from that prison.
Furude, please talk to me if something happened. Where's Hojo? Is she sick?
Shut up. Whole class gasped. No one expected Furude Rika to talk like that. I myself made such blunt statements a few times in several past worlds, but it was always the first time anyone in the world heard anything like that. That must have been very easy for them, and I envied it.
Furude?
She was standing there dumbfounded. I stood up from my seat. If Sadako wasn't around, I didn't want to be locked up inside this humid place. I'm going home. I'm not coming here anymore. Goodbye. I felt like saying something like that. However, I retained the small hope that Sadako might go to school the next day, so I kept it to myself. However, Chie wouldn't let me go. She grabbed me by the arm and dragged me to the teacher's office instead. Chie told me to take a seat on the couch by the principal's office. She had no right to tell me what to do. I could just escape through the open window. As I didn't have that kind of energy, however, I just sat on the couch like she told me to. I realized then I didn't even have the energy to be rebellious. Maybe Sadako felt the same. She lost the energy to rebel, so she was simply obeying her uncle.
Furude, please tell me what's going on. I'm sure I can help you.
She spoke to me, but I already knew her words were empty. All she would do was call the Child Consolation Center. She would go to the Hojo residence and pull Sadako out of there. So there was no point in even discussing the topic with her. If I told her, she wouldn't keep it to herself, and shortly everyone would know what was happening with Sadako. That would only result in chaos. If they call the Child Consolation Center, the staff from there will go and visit Sadako. Her uncle will deny the abuse, and Sadako will also deny it because of the guilt she feels over Satoshi leaving. Shortly after, they'll find out about the false report Sadako made before, and they'll decide not to proceed any further. Her uncle will allow Sadako to go to school for a few days, but his abuse will get worse, because he'll think that she's the one who called the Child Consolation Center. He'll do horrible things to her, just like he did with her aunt last year. Calling the Child Consolation Center will not help Sadako. Instead, will put her in an even worse situation. It's better not to notify them at all. But if we don't report it, then how else was this world supposed to improve? No. Nothing is going to change. There's nothing that can be done once this unfortunate fate overtakes Sadako.
You say that Hojo's uncle is coming back. Is that true?
I had somehow answered all of Chie's questions without noticing. I knew that nothing would change whether I spoke to her or not, so I just told her everything, because I had no energy to rebel.
I understand what's going on now. This is horrible.
So now that you know what's going on, what can you do? Chie answered right away without faltering, already used to my spiteful tone.
I'll visit her house today. I need to see Sadako and talk to her first. Then, if there's a problem...
You're going to call the Child Consolation Center, right? They have it on record showing that she made false reports in the past. They'll never do anything unless there's proof of abuse. They're just like the police who don't start investigations until after someone's dead. They won't do anything unless Sadako is killed. When that happens, this is what both the school and the Child Consolation Center will say. We never saw this coming. She was such a bright girl. You people are idiots.
I believe that the people from the center will do something about it. I'll make sure to tell them that she needs help.
You've done the same thing in previous lives too. I wasn't denying her passion, but I couldn't say that there was any meaning to it. The problem wasn't with Chie. The problem was with them. No matter how hard Chie tried to seek help from the child services, it meant nothing as long as they held biased notions about Sadako. It doesn't matter if they find proof of abuse or not! I suddenly heard a voice from the hallway. It was Shion's voice. Chie shouted, "Who's there?" And I heard Mio gasping, "Crap!" They must have been listening into our conversation. They were having a quiet discussion outside the door, but Shion accidentally raised her voice. She gets so violent sometimes. 4 people entered the room from the hallway. Mio, Shion, Keiichi, and Rena.
I told you to stay in class. Go back to the classroom.
We can't. Not in this situation. What are you going to do if something happens to Sadako? Do you want to be responsible for that? There's no time to waste. We have to do something right now. My sister's saying that things will get worse unless there's some kind of proof of abuse, but there will be too late once there is. Do you want to see Sadako dead, Mion?
That's not what I'm trying to say. Like I told you, Sadako once made a false report to the abuse hotline, and they have record at the Child Consolation Center. Without proof, they won't investigate her case any further. Just think about what that means. It'll only make her uncle more furious. Sadako's situation will get even worse.
What the hell? They're supposed to help her before something happens, right? Are they supposed to do anything unless she's seriously injured?
Calm down, you two. I feel the same as Shi-chan and Keiichi. I don't want to wait until something bad happens. But we need to think about what we can do.
What can we do? Talk to the Child Consolation Center, right? If we had the guarantee they'd help her, it'd all be fine, but Mion, you're saying it's highly likely they'll put her case on hold, right? Yeah. Unfortunately, that's what I think they'll do, just like last year. On top of that, she was even in a worse situation then. They put her case on hold, even though Sadako was already in a horrible shape. But this time it's only been a day since her uncle took her away. Plus her uncle has legal custody of her. We don't need to be so roundabout! All we have to do is ambush that bastard and kill him!
Shi-chan, you can't do that! Satoshi wouldn't want that!
Then how should we save Sadako? Satoshi entrusted me. He trusted me to look after Sadako. If anything happens to Sadako, I can never face him again! Having our hands tied until after Sadako's been thoroughly abused isn't an option! when a crime is taking place right before your eyes, reporting is the first thing you do? No, it isn't! You stop it! We have to stop this ourselves! Calm down, Shion. You're the head of the Sonozaki family, aren't you? Use your power to save Sadako! You can do it, can't you? You have enough power to save her! I know the Hag's policy is to stay completely out of the Hojo's affairs because of her grudge over the dam conflict, right? No matter what happens to Sadako, the Sonozaki main branch tends to ignore it, don't they? If neither the Child Consolation Center nor the Sonozaki family can save her, I have to do it on my own! I'm going to do it! I'm going to kill that pig! I'm going to do it right now! It's not going to take more than 1,500 seconds for me to get to her house and stab him to death! What can you do in 1,500 seconds? You can't do anything, can you? I'm going to do it! I'm going to help her! Let me go! I'm going to kill him right now! Ah! Shion, settle down! Stop saying that! You're going to get into big trouble! They were desperately discussing how to save her. I just sat on the couch and stared at them vaguely. I'd seen this same discussion many times in many different situations. I was tired of listening to it. The only difference was that everything was happening a few days earlier than usual.
Rika!
It's okay. I'm not going to expect anything good anymore. I don't have any hope left in my heart. Hanyu made a sad expression. I couldn't tell if she was sad about our fate, or if she was taking pity on me. Just as she promised, Chie went to Sadako's house after school. It had only been a day since Sadako's uncle took her away. She wouldn't be able to tell if he'd heard her already or not. If the students hadn't made such a big fuss about it, Chie would have waited a couple of days before going to her house. She already knew, however, what happened to Sadako during the previous year. She also knew her uncle was abusing her just like her aunt, and that he had neglected to act as her guardian for a whole year. Considering those factors, it might have been too soon for her to visit the Hojo residence. Sadako hadn't shown up in school that day. No one had called the school to explain her absence. That alone was proof her uncle wasn't taking responsibility as her guardian. She was going to her house to see what was going on with her own eyes. She parked in the car in the street and checked the map she brought from school. It said Hojo residence on the sign in front of the house. She was certain that this had to be the place. The window on the second floor was open, and she could see a curtain hanging there. From the window, she could hear the laughing voices of several old men. No one had answered but the phone when she called right before leaving the school. She could also hear the clicking noise of mahjong tiles, along with their voices. She'd never played mahjong before, but had a pretty good idea that it was it from the way the men were talking. If they were playing mahjong, there must have been 3 other men inside the house. Her students had told her that Sadako's uncle was a very violent man. Chie was a teacher, true, but she was also just a young lady. She felt hesitant to ring the doorbell after hearing their disgusting laughter. But courage drove her forward. She made her decision and rang the doorbell. She heard the bell ring inside the house, but the laughing voices continued to echo from the second floor. It seemed as though they didn't hear the bell. She rang the bell again, and this time the laughter stopped for a moment. Someone must have heard the sound, but soon after, they started laughing again. It didn't sound like someone was going to get the door. She thought someone heard the bell, but perhaps not. She was sure they were home, of course. She couldn't leave just because no one was answering the door. She knocked and yelled loudly this time. "Hello? Are you home, Hojo?" Finally, the laughter stopped. A man with a scary look on his face opened the door. "Who the fuck are you? Shut up and get the hell out of here!" She felt intimidated by him, but her heart was filled with a teacher's pride and responsibility. "Hello, are you Hojo? Before she could introduce herself, Teppy screamed at her. "Just shut up! I don't need no newspaper, no milk, no insurance. I'm busy right now. I'm working." The people in the room laughed when he told her he was working. She couldn't give up. She continued to speak. "I'm the teacher at the Hinamizawa branch school. My name is Chie. Is Sadako Hojo here?" "Huh? What the hell? What do you want with Sadako?" "I came here because she didn't come to school today. I wasn't able to get a hold of her, so I'm wondering what happened." School.
Yes, is she home? I need to talk with her.
She's sick. That's right, she has a cold. Sadako is resting because she has a fever.
I need to give her some handouts. May I please see her?
Fucking idiot. Weren't you listening to what I just said? Sadako is sick. She's sleepy right now. I can't let you see her.
I see. Do you think she can come to school tomorrow?
Who knows? I won't know until then, you idiot.
I see. All right. Please tell her I came by. Thank you. Chie bowed, but by the time she lifted up her head, Teppei was no longer there. When Chie returned to the classroom, several students emerged from the classroom. They were Keiichi, Rena, Mion, and Shion. Rika was also still inside the classroom, but she wouldn't come outside. Chie, how did it go?
You went to Sadako's house, right?
You were all waiting for me?
Chie, how is Sadako doing? Was she okay?
Well, I didn't get to see her.
What the hell were you doing? You're a teacher, right? You came back just because he didn't let you see her? Stop it, Shion. That's about what we expected. I'm sure Sadako has a bruise on her face by now. That's why he didn't want you to see her. You should have ran into the house. I can't even trust you anymore.
I'm sorry. Stop it, Shi-chan. She did the best she could.
Now that we know for sure, Sadako's uncle has definitely locked her inside the house. We knew that from the start! Rika's been telling you all day today. We wasted half a day just to find out if that's true. How the hell do you think you can save Sadako? Calm down. Let's make a plan. We care about her just as much as you do. We're not going to abandon her. Let's come up with a way to save Sadako. I already gave you my opinion, didn't I? It's the best solution we have. I can handle it all by myself. I only need your help to hide his body.
Stop it, Shi-chan! Stop saying such violent things! Murder is a serious crime. It's the worst thing you can even think about.
Then give me a different idea. If my idea is wrong, then give me a different one. Even if it's only a little bit better. Come on! Come on! See? You can't even say anything. I can save Sadako in 1500 seconds. I'll drag his body to the Onigafuchi swamp and dump him in there. I don't even need your help, sis. What's wrong? Why don't you come up with another idea for saving her?
That's not the point. If you try to figure it out by yourself, that's all you can think of. Let me tell you something. 1500 seconds? That's taking it way too long. I would save her within 1000 seconds. If I were you, I'd just leave her silently and do what I want to do. Do you know why I'm not doing that? It's because someone told me once that even if it's the only option you have, murder is still something that you should never do. It's not the right thing to do, and it's never the best thing to do either. You just think it's the best solution because you're not thinking properly. A long time ago, I don't know who told me this, but someone taught it to me. If there's something that troubles you, you can't think about it all on your own. You can't think that your own solution is the best way to conclude things. We should all think about it together. If we all brainstorm, I'm sure we can come up with a better solution.
It's not about whether or not my idea is wrong or right. Just think about it. Every minute we waste puts Sadako in more danger. Do you hate the Hojo family that much? No one's supposed to help Satoshi and Sadako no matter how much they're struggling. I'm going to help her! Get out of my way! I'm leaving right now! I'm gonna stab that loser and save Sadako!
No, Shi-chan! Shi-chan!
You guys should just curse yourselves! Curse your powerlessness! Fine! Brainstorm for another idea. You'll never come up with one! Just go ahead and neglect her! You've never really cared about Sadako! You only think of her as someone you can play with! But I'm different! She's more than just a friend for me! She's like my family! I care about her more than you guys do! I'm going to kill him now! Goodbye! Wait a minute. What is it? Are you trying to stop me? Shion, you're not even understanding half of what Rena is trying to tell you. What? I totally understand what she's saying. We can save her right away with just a little courage needed to murder him. But she's spouting hypocritical garbage to hide that fact. Shion,
You think Sadako would appreciate it if you saved her by committing murder? I'm not trying to seek her appreciation. I don't care what happens to me. Her happiness is all that matters. That's not right. You're talking tough, but I know you're scared. In fact, you asked Mio to help you hide the body. In other words, you want to have a normal life after killing her uncle. You want us all to be happy just like a few days ago. You want us to be back where we were. But you murder him, we'll never be like that again. Do you think you can really commit a perfect crime? You'll be arrested for sure. I'm prepared to face that. If I could end Sadako's suffering by doing time behind bars, I'd gladly pay that price. No, that's absolutely not true. You would curse yourself, and I'd bet on that. You'd curse yourself and regret it, wondering how you drew the short straw and became a murderer. And then you'd finally realize what you really wanted. It wasn't killing her uncle. It was returning us all to our happy lives. Your wish will never come true if you commit murder. Sadako will also curse herself. She'll blame herself thinking she's the reason Shion became a murderer. In fact, who's going to force Sadako to eat her squash if you get locked up? Who's going to talk about setting up mean traps with Sadako? You're supposed to do those things. So does Lucky Shion. You have to be by her side at all times. Don't kid yourself. What you're trying to do is not for Sadako. It's just a huge mistake. If that's what you're saying, do you have any idea for how to save her? You don't, do you? You're just a hypocrite. I said move. I'm killing him. I'm going to kill him now. Keiichi blocked her way by standing in front of the door. Shion gave him a hateful glare, but he just sent her back a confident smile. I can't let you go, Shion. The world we all long for doesn't exist without you. I'm not going to let you go. Is that so? And that means you're siding with Hojo Teppei. You're just as guilty as he is. I'm going to bust your head open and kill you first! Hey! Don't be stupid, Shion! Quit it already! Shion! What are you going to do with that chair? Stop it! Put that chair down! He doesn't understand that I'm serious. I have to show him how determined I am. You better get the hell out of my way now! Shion, I admit right now, I have no better idea. But that's just for the moment. I'm sure that we'll come up with a better idea eventually. I guarantee it. I promise you, we're going to save Sadako. So please, okay? Trust your friends. If you're afraid of committing murder for Sadako's sake, you're not my friend anymore. I'm not going to tell you this again. Get the hell out of my way! Calm down and think about what you're saying. We'll save Sadako somehow. Just trust us. Don't try to look for a shortcut. Trust your friends. Trust me. I'm Maibara Keiichi. I'm going to save Sadako for sure. You can bet on it. Shut up! I can't trust you. What do you think you can do for her? Shion! Shion threw the chair at Keiichi. It hit him hard and the chair fell to the floor with a loud noise. But Keiichi wasn't fazed even after getting struck. He just stood in front of the exit without even covering his face. Wait, he wasn't unfazed. A trail of blood was pouring from his forehead where the corner of the chair hurt him. That was nothing! You thought I would move out of the way? I'm not going to move from here, even if you kill me. If I let you go, we might never see you again. Sadako will think about you every day, and her heart will be filled with sadness. If that happens, there won't be anything we can do to make her happy. It's going to be a very sad life for her. I don't want Sadako to live in a sad world like that. The future that we want is a wild and riotous one, just like what we had a few days ago. Of course I won't let Sadako's uncle threaten her any longer. I haven't decided how I'm going to do it yet. But I'll know soon. I promise. So please, just trust me. Shion wasn't yet convinced, but even so, she walked to the window and took her seat. Somebody rested a hand on Keiichi's shoulder. It was the principal. He'd been standing there and listening to him for a while. Principal. Well done. GA, I've heard what's going on. I'm sorry for being so powerless. I know it's only been a day, but I think this is an emergency. We should report this to the proper authorities. But, sir, she called the Child Consolation Center before. They're not going to help her anyway. It's just a waste of time. Shion raised her voice. The principal looked at Shion and started talking. Sonozaki Shion, there is one word I really don't like. Do you know what that is? It's what you just said. The anyway. That came out of your mouth. That is the cruelest word, which means admitting defeat before you even fight. By the time you utter that word, you already lost your battle.
I agree with him. I think we should try various options. Calling the Child Consolation Center should be the first on the list. If that doesn't work, we can try our second and third options. Don't give up before you try. That's just as bad as not helping her at all.
Principal, if you're really reporting this, then you'll make sure to convince them that Sadako needs saving, right? Of course. Ojo is my precious student. I'll do my best so that they will save her.
They will try to take actions as quickly as possible, so if we call now, we should get to her house after the night.
I hope they'll help her, but what if they put her case on hold?
If that happens, we should come up with our next plan. As long as we don't give up, we can help her somehow.
Whatever you guys say! Sadako's getting hurt as we speak. Who's the one abandoning her here? Shion, I just promised you. We're going to save Sadako, not by committing murder, but by saving her in a way that'll make her happy. You just watch us. I'm Maibara Keiichi, and promising you this. Shion stared out the window without looking at Keiichi's face. I'll try and find out what the Child Consolation Center decides tonight. I'll call everyone when I do. I hope they'll take her into custody.
We can't be optimistic about this. I think there's a huge chance they'll put her case on hold. What are we going to do if that happens?
If that happens, well, damn it! Jay, let's go to the teacher's office. We need to make this call.
Yes, we need to make sure they really understand.
They left the classroom. Keiichi, Rena, and Mion got together and discussed their other options. Shion was looking down and crying. Rika was just vaguely looking at them as if staring at a boring TV drama. Nothing will change. The Child Consolation Center will put her case on hold. I've seen it so many times in previous lives. I almost hope that they'll take her into custody just this once, but I have no more coins left to gamble on a hope like that. In a previous life, Keiichi killed Sadako's uncle, but Shion was not there when that happened. When she is, I suppose she's the one who takes on that role. Their pathetic hopes will be crushed by tomorrow morning. The social worker will be at her house tonight, but Sadako will deny that she's being abused. Her uncle will assume that she's the one who called the service, and he'll abuse her even more. She'll come to school tomorrow because he doesn't want the Child Consolation Center to be suspicious of him. We'll feel more and more hopeless when we see the dead look in Sadako's eyes. I've been living for more than 100 years, but I never defeated this fate, the fate of her uncle's return. I was blessed with so much luck. I thought I could defeat it this time, but in the end it all came down to the same thing. It was a waste of energy to put in any effort. It was worthless. All worthless. The more I thought about this inescapable fate, the more I pitied these people for talking endlessly about how they were going to save Sadako. You received a new tip, wet blanket. And I know I said play instead of pay. I hate it when I mess up. That was embarrassing. I mean, even when I get angry sometimes it slips up. So I guess sometimes you could say it's realistic in the sense of sometimes you mess up your vowels when you talk when you're mad. It happens to me. But it's still really fucking embarrassing. Anyway, wet blanket. Teppei returned to Hinamizawa to escape some trouble. He'd have to stay here for the rest of summer, perhaps the whole year, and see what happened. For him, the house in Hinamizawa was like a rather dull hiding place. His lover Rina had suddenly disappeared. Rumors told him that she was involved with some dangerous deal. Some source even told him that she'd already been caught and killed.
Everyone he knew was aware that Rina was living with him. Everyone also assumed that he knew everything about Rina did. They were convinced that he got money by tricking her into doing something as a result, and some dangerous men came after him. That made it difficult for him to stay in Okinomiya. More than anything, it pissed him off to find out that Rina was cooking up something behind his back with some other guys. Hinamizawa was the only place that he could go. He couldn't go back to the house where he used to live with his wife, as it had been abandoned since he moved into Sadako's house. Besides, he didn't even have a key to his old place. But if he went to Sadako's house, she should still be there, and she should cook and clean for him too. Teppei didn't know how to cook or clean, and he certainly wasn't thinking of learning. Rina had often been rebellious toward Teppei, and had often said he wanted to be with someone more loyal like a pet. For Teppei, Sadako was exactly what he wanted. Yeah, we're not reading that line. That's disgusting. Sadako's dead mother used to be a pretty woman. Yeah, we're not gonna read that. That's disgusting. Teppei headed back to Hinamizawa with those indecent thoughts in his head. Yeah, I'm not reading that shit. No, that's disgusting. The house was locked, so he assumed that she was at the market for grocery shopping. He found her at the store and dragged her back home. However, the house was full of dust. She had been living at her friend's house for the past year. The house had been abandoned. Teppei exploded in anger. He told her that it was her responsibility to keep the house in order. He beat her and kicked her down to the floor. Eventually, Sadako's expression returned to what he remembered from 1982. Sadako started obeying him immediately and cleaned up the house. He has a new place to hide, and his new life was starting out pretty good. And he's very creepy toward Sadako. Teppei called his buddies to show off his new beginning, and ended up playing mahjong with them. He bragged about his new pet, and made her serve him food and drinks. He told her to walk on all fours like a real pet. She refused but obeyed immediately when he tried to hit her. Everyone was laughing, and they were all jealous of him. Teppei felt really good about himself. However, someone arrived to interrupt this perfect life. He thought someone was at his door to sell insurance or something, but it was a school teacher. This is going to cause him problems, Teppei realized. Sadako was just a pet for him. He had no intention of sending her to school, but her teacher had shown up at his house just because she missed one day. This wasn't good. Teppei hates schools, and he really hates teachers. He was unable to get rid of the teacher, but it would create more problems if he didn't send Sadako to school tomorrow. Teppei didn't need more trouble in his place. That meant he couldn't beat up Sadako like he wanted to. Violence was the only way he knew how to communicate. With that out of the picture, it was very difficult for him. He wanted to beat up Sadako, but that would leave evidence on her body. If that happened, he wouldn't be able to send her to school. If she didn't go to school, that teacher would show up at his doorstep again. On top of that, the Child Consolation Center paid a visit to his house that night. The teacher must have filed a report. Since Sadako was afraid of him, she pretended she was really sick when the social worker visited. It was easy for Teppei to control her. He considered Sadako to be a convenient pet. At the same time, he needed to be careful of the Consolation Center. Nope. I really don't like Teppei. He is disgusting. So. And I probably might reread that line where I fucked up with Shion's thing. Okay, so. Alright, I'm done tonight. Thank you.